All right, so starting off with squat, there were two things that I was supposed to do. The first one was adjust my hinge to where there was as little back movement as possible after I've already started the lift. And the second one was to try and get a little bit more upright to try and get out as much lower back involvement as possible just to protect me and prevent further injuries. Not further injuries, future injuries. And I have been working on the first one, but for now, I'm going to ignore the second one because I did try it on Friday, and I realized that everything that I tried would kind of cut out my glutes to the point where I really couldn't even do the movement. And it was 350, and I could barely even move that. And I also think that it's not my lower back, but it's my glutes that are taking on most of the weight because I really don't feel my lower back at all during the workout. Of course, it gets warm, but even after 6 sets, it was perfectly fine, and I was able to move it around like nothing even happened to it. And that does make sense to me because, at least in the squat, I'm very glute dominant. And when I'm doing heavier weights, I can feel like my glutes are on fire and really nothing else is. And I do think that isn't good, but I don't think a technique change is what needs to happen. I think it's mostly just I need to build those other muscles up with my accessories so that they can take on some of the weight and I can be a little bit more well-rounded. And for bench, what I'm trying to do is one, stay as tight as possible. And a few things have, I guess, changed because of that. One of them is I improved my arch just because, I mean, it makes sense to get, if I'm more scrunched up, then everything's going to be tighter. And I also moved my feet back a little bit, again, just so I could get tighter. But one problem that I was having with that before, with my feet being back so far, that whenever I went to engage my legs, my butt would come up. But something I found towards the end of the set, I think it was like set 5 or 6, that when I don't really push with my legs, but I just engage my quads, my feet naturally kind of try to push themselves forward. I think it's just because I'm so tight, they want to be in a particular place and they're not allowed to be. So as soon as I use more strength in my quads, they see it as an opportunity to move forward, I guess. I've also been working on tucking my elbows. I haven't really seen much of a difference with that, except for the bar does feel a little bit different in my hands. Honestly, I think it might feel a little bit lighter, and since my arms are tucked, it goes further down on my stomach, which kind of cuts out a little bit of the range of motion. I've also switched a little bit away from a sink to more of a kind of just resting the bar on my chest. I do think it sinks a little bit into it. I haven't really watched the video that many times, but I do know that when I was doing it, I didn't really feel the bar digging into my chest as much as I usually do. I also do want to say I adjusted my estimated PR for Wednesday. I did 220. Yeah, it was 220 paused. It was supposed to be for 5, but 5 felt really easy. So I did 6. That also felt really easy. But I didn't want to go up anymore because it wasn't even really supposed to be a heavy day. It was just lighter than I expected it to be. So now I'm estimating my max to be somewhere around 285 to 290. And I do think that it will increase now that I'm not really being as stubborn and trying to go for 305. But even if it does stay the same, I will be perfectly content with that, just because it really isn't that far away from 300. And right now, that's pretty much the only thing in my mind for where my bench should be. Also, the 220 for 6 was paused, if I forgot to mention that. I don't really have an update for deadlift right now. I did deadlift on Friday, which now that I kind of think a little bit more about it, I don't think that I was supposed to. because on Friday I have squat 6 sets of 3 and then deadlift 6 sets of 3. And for the past 2 weeks, I've realized that I have absolutely no energy for deadlift. And when I do deadlifts, I don't have any energy for the rest of the lift. The first week, I did think that I just wasn't feeling well, and that's why I couldn't do it. But the second week, I felt great, and squats felt great, and I didn't really even get that fatigued when it came to the last set. But I did realize that in the warm ups for deadlifts, I think I to like the second or third warm up, and it just everything went downhill. Like 265 was heavy. So from now on, I am going to only be doing one of them in a day. I think it's supposed to be like if I have a squat PR earlier in the week, I need to do deadlift for form on Friday. And then if I have a deadlift PR, I need to do squat for form. I think it's mainly just because I don't do back downs anymore. So I think that's supposed to kind of help with that, especially since there's a high number of sets. So it's probably just supposed to get in the volume that I need for that week and to also help me with form. But that's pretty much it. I am looking forward to seeing how my form is on the heavy squat day. But I will say I'm most excited about, getting my bench back up to where it just feels good, because for the past 2 months, it just hasn't felt good. And I want to get it back to there before I start worrying about strength. But that's pretty much it. I'll see you next time.